Hey everybody, this is Mr. Munson. We're now starting chapter 5, triangle relationships. That's pretty much what we're going to be dealing with. And so with this concept 1, we have 5.1, which is relationships between sides and angles. So if you take a look at the picture here, we have 3 boats and they form 3 different angles. As you can see, there's kind of a triangle drawn between them. And the interesting thing at the end of this section, this 5.1, you should be able to tell me which boat is farthest from the other. Not how far, but which one's the farthest. And we don't want to necessarily look at the length of these segments because it could be drawn wrong. Okay, just because one looks longer doesn't make it longer. So we'll have to have some science and some facts to prove what we're going to do. What I love about this chapter in chapter 5 is that it has some really cool things in it that you might not have ever known, but they always existed about triangles, and they're really simple to understand. There's a couple of things that we're going to learn in the next section, 5.2, special names of special segments that are in triangles that you never knew probably existed, but they have some really neat properties as well. So let's go ahead and get moving on 5.1. As we walk into this, we have to understand what inequalities and equalities are. Equalities obviously have an equal sign, and inequalities have an inequality sign. In this case, it's a greater than sign. The tools that we use to solve an equality are the same tools that we'll use to solve an inequality. However, there is a slight variation that we have to remember over here. Whenever we're dividing or multiplying by a negative number, we need to switch the sign. All right, so hopefully you remember that from algebra. Let me just kind of review this with you real quick. Okay, so hopefully I did my math right there, and I've got x equals -3/4. So what I want you to do is I want you to put me on pause and see if you can solve this inequality. See if we get the same thing. No worries if you get something wrong. Just come back and check me after you put it on pause and see if you did it right. All right, now I'm getting ready to divide by a negative number, and so as I said earlier, this is where you need to make sure you change the sign. So we're going to change the direction of the sign, and then go ahead and finish this out. Oops. Which allows me just to say simply x is less than -3/4. All right. Obviously, the answers are different because one has an equal sign, the other one has a less than sign now. But basically, the number turned out to be the same. You know, you have -3/4 and -3/4. Okay, make sure you know that. Let's move on. So we have our first theorem. It says this basically: if two sides of a triangle are not congruent, then the larger angle lies opposite the longer side. Okay, put me on pause if that didn't make sense, and you go back and piece that together, and you go through that sentence and make sure you understand clearly what it says. I'm going to take a moment and allow you to put on pause and go back and look at that, and then I'm going to explain a little further. All right, so basically what this says is if I have two sides that are not equal, and I'll just look at this 5 and this 3, then the angles across them obviously are not equal, but one's bigger than the other. Right? And so it says if 5 is larger than 3, which it is, then the angle across from it is larger. So we have angle B is larger than angle C. So I can, even though I don't know the degrees of each of those angles, I can say one is bigger than another. Well, we can do this with the entire string of sides. So let's just go smallest to largest. And so the angles opposite them can be ordered as well. And there you have it. Angle C is less than angle A is less than angle B. What I know is angle B is the largest angle. We already know that in any right triangle, where the right angle is the largest. But you might not have known how to tell which is the smallest, not knowing the angles. So it's just simple. The across from the smallest side is the smallest angle. Hey, by the way, you can see why I, from the beginning of the year, have been using this as my angle symbol. And that's because I knew we were coming to this less than and sometimes greater than sign. When we do that, it gets kind of confusing if I just simply wrote it like this. It's really confusing. So that's why I put that little strike mark in there. I encourage you to do the same. Okay, so this is from smallest to largest. And I need to know how to do it the other way as well. Let's look at another example. All right, here's another example. So what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to take a look at this drawing and go ahead and order the angles, this time from largest to smallest. Now, what I want you to be careful of, if this is the largest to smallest, the arrows are going to be pointing the other way. Okay, put me on pause and try to think through this. All right, so simple enough. I can order these. If I have an 8, well, let's go largest to smallest with the sides. So we have, a 20, and then a 10, and then an 8. And so the angles that reflect that are going to come from angle B is larger than angle C, which is larger than angle A. Okay, so I just looked across. I found the opposite angle that goes with the number. 8 goes with angle A, 20 goes with angle B, and 10 goes with angle C. Simple enough. So what we find out is the converse is true as well. In the first theorem that I just gave you, we knew the sides and we're able to order the angles. In this case, this theorem says if two angles of a triangle are not congruent, then the longer side lies opposite the larger angle. Okay, so let's take a look at this problem. I'm going to put some information in there. Okay, so let's see if we can order the sides this time with the angles. Okay, so we'll go ahead and pretend like I was told to do it largest to smallest. And I'm going to go up a little bit so I have more room to work. So I'm going to go ahead and order the angles first. So that's largest angle. I know that's bigger than angle 35, which is definitely bigger than 25. Okay, so I'm just putting the information in there. And I might choose to draw some arrows to help me know this. I've color-coded the angles to go along with the sides for easier viewing, but that might not be the case when you're on a test. It's usually in black and white. So 120, that's side AC. And then comes the 35, which is BC. And then we have the 25, which is AB. Okay. Now notice that, well, anyway. All right, very good. Let's move on. Now, one more thing I could do is I could, instead of putting those greater than signs in there, sometimes, let's say it's a multiple choice test and you see this, I could order them by making them look like this. And that's ordering them largest to smallest. I just put it as a list with the commas in there. Now take a look at the difference here. The one here, the number or the letters don't have a bar above them because I'm saying they're measures. They represent numbers. So the measure of AC is greater than the measure of BC, which is greater than the measure of AB. So those AC, BC, and AC, BC, and AB represent numbers. But down here, they represent the names of them because I have commas in between them. So in that case, I would make sure I have a bar above it because I'm talking about the name, the segment AC, and then the segment BC, and then the segment AB, and they're in a list order from largest to smallest. Okay, let's move on. All right, now try your hand at this. Order the sides largest to smallest. Okay, put me on pause and come back and check your answer. Okay, there you have it. So I have the sides ordered largest to smallest, and since we're going largest to smallest, we'll go AC, and then the greater than sign, then AB, then the greater sign, then CB. So what I know is that CB is the smallest side here, AC is the largest, and AB is someplace in between that. So another way of writing that is in list form, and so I forgot to put my bar across those, so let's go ahead and put the bars across those, and there you have it. Let's move on to the next example. Okay, so in this one we have ordering the angles, smallest to largest. Okay, put me on pause. Try your hand at this one. All right, and there you have it. Now, I think I remember in the earlier part of this video when I was ordering my angles, I forgot to put that little measure sign, that little M in front of the angle mark, so I apologize for that. Make sure you do that, okay? So we have the measure of angle A is smaller than the measure of angle C, which is smaller than the measure of angle B, or in list form, angle A, comma, angle C, comma, angle B. Now, you don't get to choose which form you're going to do that. You need to know how to do both of those. So you might be practicing on your tonight's homework, doing it that way as well as the practice in class tomorrow. Okay, so here's similar information, just no drawing. So what are you going to do about that? I'm going to suggest you go ahead and put me on pause, see if you can think through this one. For me, I would make a drawing. All right, put me on pause, check your answer in just a second. Now you've probably come back to figure out this answer and we're like, hey, you didn't tell me how to order them. So let's go ahead and do it from smallest to largest. So go ahead and try your hand. Go ahead and put me on pause again and see how you do. And there you have it. So you really don't need a drawing. You can always draw your own. All right, let's move on. That's pretty much it. We're looking at your try-it problems. Remember, at the top of your page, you're going to write the title. This time it's called Relationships Between Sides and Angles. Don't forget to put your name and period number up there. You're welcome to put the date, then the word try it, and then make sure you write down the question, give yourself enough room, and don't forget to circle your answer, right? All right. Get these problems done. Take a look. There's a bonus down at the bottom. Do some research. Make sure you follow the directions there. Do this on a separate piece of paper. Oh, Mr. Munson, I forgot to put it on another piece of paper. I'm sorry. You're out of luck. Follow the directions correctly, and you get those points. All right. Take care.